Some physical scars take only weeks to heal, but there are wounds of the heart that burn for a lifetime. Have you ever wondered, between 20 million Vietnamese dong and a human life, which weighs more? To Mrs. Xuan, 20 million was her pride, her sweat, and her tears. But to Min, her gentle son-in-law, it was the price she was willing to pay to crush her own humanity, the scars beyond the skin. Some physical scars take only weeks to heal, but there are wounds of the heart that burn for a lifetime. Have you ever wondered, between 20 million Vietnamese dong and a human life, which weighs more? To Mrs. Xuan, 20 million was her pride, her sweat, and her tears. But to Min, her gentle son-in-law, it was the price she was willing to pay to crush her own humanity. Today's story is not just about a family conflict. It is a profound lesson on awakening at the thin line between greed and kinship. It all began when Mrs. Xuan discovered 20 million VND missing from her cupboard. Without a second thought, she immediately blamed Min because he was the poorest in the family. Mrs. Xuan, "You stole that money to buy those designer shoes for your wife, didn't you? A lowlife like you can only get money that fast by thieving." Min, "Mother, I worked night shifts for 3 months to afford those." Before he could finish, she grabbed a wooden cane and unleashed her rage upon his head. A sickening crack echoed. Min collapsed. The scene was horrific. Min lay motionless, blood soaking through his hair and staining the elegant white shirt he usually wore. A curious crowd gathered, criticizing Mrs. Xuan. Instead of feeling remorse, she shouted louder to mask her panic. In the corner of the yard, Lan, Min's wife, could only sob uncontrollably, her years of suppressed pain shattering into pieces. At that moment, Mr. Nam, the father-in-law, returned from a long business trip. Seeing the chaos, he swung his pickup truck into the yard. After hearing the neighbor's account, his face darkened. He rushed into the crowd, his voice trembling. "Stop it! It's not what you think!" Startled and confused, Mrs. Xuan tried to cover her tracks. "Look at this! I turned my back for a moment and he dares to steal 20 million from my room. You always defend him." Mr. Nam shouted in agony. "I took it! Before I left, I told you I needed extra capital for this trip and took 20 million from the cupboard. You nodded. How could you forget?" He pulled a stack of 60 million from his pocket and threw it on the table. "Here is the money. Take it and use it to save your conscience." Mrs. Xuan stood frozen as the bills scattered at her feet. Mr. Nam quickly lifted Min into the truck and raced to the hospital. At the hospital, the tension was suffocating. Lan arrived, her face gaunt with fear. When she heard the truth and realized the abuse Min had endured every time her father was away, she collapsed. She wailed, recounting all the times Mrs. Xuan had insulted and mistreated Min, simply because he wasn't as wealthy as she expected. Listening to this, Mr. Nam's usually kind eyes burned with fury. Just then, Mrs. Xuan rushed in, stammering, How is he?" Mr. Nam looked at his wife, his voice hoarse but firm. "Go home. If anything happens to Min, I will personally sign the police report against you. This family is broken because of your greed and narrow-mindedness. I thought my tolerance would change you, but I was wrong. You aren't just hurting your son-in-law, you are killing your daughter's happiness." Mrs. Xuan sank to the cold floor, staring at her hands still stained with her son-in-law's dried blood. The truth about the money and her husband's words hit her like a physical blow. She realized she had lost everything: her husband's respect, her daughter's love, and her own dignity. 3 hours later, the emergency room light turned off. The doctor stepped out, sighing in relief. The patient is out of danger, but he needs close monitoring due to a severe concussion. Lan and Mr. Nam embraced, weeping with relief. A month later, Min was discharged. However, instead of taking him back to that haunting house, Mr. Nam used his savings and recent earnings to rent a small apartment for the couple. He knew that to save their marriage, he had to separate them from Mrs. Xuan's toxicity. As for Mrs. Xuan, she became withdrawn and silent. The boycott from neighbors and the cold gaze of her family were the heaviest sentences she had to serve. She wandered alone in her large but empty house, beginning her repentance by cleaning the couple's old room and cooking Min's favorite dishes, asking Mr. Nam to deliver them because she lacked the courage to face him. Min gradually recovered. The scar on his head would remain forever as a reminder of a nightmare. But seeing Lan's smile and his mother-in-law's silent remorse, he chose to forgive to find peace of mind. Their family could never be the same, but at least they had learned to value truth and humanity over fleeting paper money. After Min was discharged from the hospital and moved into his new apartment, Nam and Juan's house felt unusually cold and empty. Mealtimes were filled with nothing but the clatter of bowls and chopsticks. Many times, Juan stood outside her daughter's door but couldn't bring herself to knock. She feared Lan's resentful eyes and Min's silent endurance. One rainy afternoon, Mr. Nam fell seriously ill from exhaustion and emotional strain. In his delirium, he called out for Min and Lan, begging them to be happy. Panicked, Mrs. Xuan didn't shout this time. She tremblingly called Lan. "Lan, your father, he collapsed. I'm sorry, I don't know what to do." Her voice broke into sobs. 15 minutes later, Min and Lan arrived. Despite the dull ache in his scar from the cold rain, Min was the first to carry Mr. Nam to the car. Throughout the night at the hospital, Mrs. Xuan sat in a corner, quietly watching Min care for Mr. Nam. He changed his cold compresses and helped him move with the devotion of a biological son. When Mr. Nam stabilized, Mrs. Xuan suddenly stood up and walked toward Min. In front of her husband and daughter, she knelt. The room fell into a suffocating silence. "Min, I was wrong. I was a narrow-minded woman blinded by money, and I almost killed you and my daughter's happiness." She took a small box from her pocket containing a pair of gold earrings, her only keepsake from her youth. "I have nothing that can repay the pain I caused you. This is a small token of my sincerity. I want you two to have it for your life. I don't ask you to call me mother right away. I only ask for a chance to make amends." Min stood still. He looked at Lan, who had cried a river of tears for him, and at Mr. Nam, the man who had saved his life. He stepped forward and helped Mrs. Xuan up. His voice was low but warm. "Please stand up. The past is the past. I don't want to mention it again. I care for Father not for a gift, but because he is my family, and you are too." The phrase, "my family," from Min's lips was a healing balm. Mrs. Xuan hugged her son-in-law and daughter, sobbing, this time crying out of true repentance, not fear or pride. That Lunar New Year, Mr. Nam and Mrs. Xuan's house was filled with laughter again. Mrs. Xuan was no longer the harsh, impulsive woman of the past. She spent her time at the temple, learning to control her emotions, and treated Min with profound love and respect. Watching his wife in the kitchen with their son-in-law preparing the year-end meal, Mr. Nam felt an extraordinary lightness. He knew the storm had passed. The scar on Min's head was no longer a mark of violence, but a symbol of a great forgiveness that had rescued a family from the brink of collapse. Message to the audience. Friends, the story of Mr. Nam's family is not just a tragedy about a money misunderstanding. It is a mirror reflecting the cruelty of prejudice and greed within a home. We feel for Min, the gentle son-in-law who endured agonizing injustice, and for Lan, the wife caught between blood and love. But above all, this is a lesson about awakening. Money is merely a tool, but morality and respect are the foundations of a warm home. Do not wait until a loved one falls in pain to realize that those bills are as light as a feather compared to a life and the bonds of family. Min's forgiveness at the end is not weakness, but the strength of a great heart. He chose to repay evil with kindness to save a family. I hope that when we face anger, we know when to stop, because while a wound on the skin can heal, a scar in the heart can take a lifetime to fade. I leave you with 3 messages from this story. Character is worth more than gold. Do not let harshness and greed blind you and drive away those you love most. The role of justice. Mr. Nam's decisive action was the final barrier protecting the truth and awakening a lost soul. Forgiveness is the ultimate healer. Only true tolerance can turn a tragedy into a humane new beginning. And with that, our audio session for today concludes. Thank you, dear listen.